What's going on, guys? I'm a little late on this video. I've been busy with some stuff in real life, but today Jagex released the combat beta update number 4 post, and there are some big changes happening to the combat beta, some big nerfs, some fake buffs, so let's get right into it. So here is the post. Let me just pull it up on my screen, and so we are right into the post here, and right into the portion where they are making changes. So the first change that Jagex has made is they changed the hit chance requirement to hit an NPC from 25% to 1%. And personally, I think this is a really odd change. Not that it makes that big of a difference, but basically what this does is it makes it so your optimal way to be gaining adrenaline for all of your styles is going to be, oh, I need adrenaline. Let's put on a crossbow like the ECB and G-Rico with Hydrix bolts. And that's gonna be your adrenaline engine now. I mean, it was kind of like that before anyway, but now it's like 1% means it's like pretty much how you're going to be gaining adrenaline, which is questionable that that is what it seems like. That's why they would make this change. The only other thing I can think about to make this change would be applying smoke clouds. But yeah, I don't know. This seems like a really odd change. I mean, I guess it's a good thing. I don't know. But it just seems weird that basically why you would do this is for G-Rico Hydrix off style. But yeah, I don't know. Very odd. Let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think this is a good thing? I don't really see any reason for this to be like this, to be honest. But yeah, anyway. Now there is a change to the critical strike damage. This is a big nerf. As you can see here at level 90, we're going from 60% damage boost to 35%. That's a huge change. And then at level 120, it's going from 75% to 50%. So both of these are massive, massive nerfs to the amount of critical strike damage you're going to be doing. And realistically, I think this is probably a good thing. Anybody who used the combat beta, especially melee in the combat beta before, in the combat beta update number 3, the last one, your melee rotations were basically just claw 15 times in your special, or in your Zerk, just claw spec 15 times. And since it would always just hit massive amounts of damage with critical strikes and then regen your adrenaline, that was your whole rotation. It was really, really stupid. And anytime you didn't get good crits, you could just guarantee a critical hit with Fury and then keep your claws going. It was a really, really bad state for melee to be in, where you're just claw spamming. It was really dumb. And I think this should maybe help change that with the critical strike change that's happening below, which I'll get into. But yeah, this is a pretty big nerf to all combat styles. So yeah, this is gonna be insanely big for necromancy and melee specifically. But again, all combat styles will get a huge nerf. As you can see, 25% damage is massive. And now we are onto the crit buff. So you can see here, Meteor, Incendiary, and Tsunami are changing from a 10% to a 6%. And this, in my opinion, I think this is probably a good change. Like I said before, your melee DPS rotations in Zerk were pretty much just spamming claws as much as possible. So yeah, this is definitely a good way to combat that problem. And I've always kind of had an issue with the crit buff for every style that isn't magic. I think for magic, things are a little bit different because magic is so unbelievably bad. But yeah, I think overall, this is a really healthy change for the game. People probably won't like this, but yeah, I think it's a healthy change for the game. It's one of the few nerfs that Jagex has made that seems to actually be something that's good, because an overabundance of adrenaline, I think, especially with special attacks that don't have a cooldown, it kind of leads to rotations being streamlined into just spamming one special attack. We had that problem with the Armadyl Battlestaff. We had the problem with the Dragon Claws. So this should be a good way to help combat those really weird, simplified rotations. But I guess it only matters for tryhards, so I don't know. Next up is the FSOA change. So they're adding a passive called Shattered Siphon. It does not work while you have the FSOA spec active, so it's literally worthless, by the way. Like, this is a useless passive. You can see it generates Echoes of Time when critically striking at 5 stacks of Echoes of Time. It will launch out a time strike matching the value of the special attack, which I believe is 100% hit. Let's go over here to the wiki. So instability, special attack, 60 to 120, so it's an 80% hit. Yeah, so every 5 critical hits, you're gonna get an 80% damage hit. So again, pretty much nothing, like very insignificant in my opinion. Like, this is a really bad passive. Like, almost like they might as well have not have made a passive in my opinion. Like, it's so bad that it doesn't make sense to even put in the work to make this. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't even activate while you have the FSOA spec active. I don't know why Mod Sponge or whoever made this has such a problem with the FSOA that he ruined it with the initial nerf and now is like, oh, we're gonna add a passive to it, and then the passive is just horrible. Like, what is this? Why does this guy hate the FSOA so much? Like, what is with that? But yeah, I think this is really stupid. Like, I don't understand why you'd even make this. It's so weak and bad that, like, I don't know, what a troll. Like, the only way to save Magic at this point is making dual wield with a really good passive or something. Like, I don't even know what to say. That's so bad. Like, what? And this with the change to Greater Sonic where it shares a cooldown with Conk and you can't 4-tick it. Like, I don't, like, this is a joke. It literally seems like they're just trolling, which I don't put that past Sponge. He really doesn't know what he's doing. But yeah, I used to like Magic so much, and them nerfing the staff has definitely I think caused a lot of players to, let's just say, dislike the dev that changes the everything with Magic. I don't know. That's just kind of my rant about it. Kind of annoying that they did that. But yeah, moving on. There is a big change to Greater Fury. If you don't know, the old version of Greater Fury from the last beta change guaranteed a critical strike to your next attack every time you use this, which was really broken. And now they're making it so you have a 25% chance to crit for your next attack, and then 100% if Fury crits. And this is a really fair change in my opinion. Like, 100% crit chance on your next ability was, or next hit was really broken, especially for that claw spam thing I was talking about. So this is probably a really, really good change. Ruby bolts are getting changed again. They're getting a change to be more like how their original special attack was. So now instead of it being, I think it was a fixed 50%, now it's going to be a variable 25 to 125% ability damage increase, depending on the life points of your target. So they're changing it to be more like the old version of Ruby Bolts, which I think is a good thing. Anticipate no longer works off global cooldown, which this is probably a good change. Anticipation was really broken. It gave you a 10% damage reduction and you could just cast it off GCD. It was kind of insane. I think Freedom should be off GCD, not Anticipation. It doesn't really make sense for this ability to be off global cooldown, but Freedom is still on global cooldown, so maybe they could change that, but I highly doubt it. The devs don't know what they're doing. Magma Tempest, they increased the damage by 20%, so it's still worthless. It can't crit. So yeah, I don't know why they would even change that. It's kind of stupid. Again, with the pointless Magic changes, like, it literally seems like Sponge is just trolling at this point. I don't know why they would even take the time to make these changes to Magic. They're all, like, literally pointless. They're just so stupid. But, you know, Sponge Brain special. Moving on, special attacks are getting changed here a little bit. So some of them that were a little overtuned are getting nerfed. So you can see claws are getting reduced by 40% ability damage. Pretty significant nerf. The Dark Bow is getting a 30% ability damage nerf. Again, pretty significant. But the biggest change here, Bow of the Last Guardian, 275 to 200%. That is a massive change to the balance by force spec. So yeah, that's a pretty big nerf to the bow. And then additionally, you can see here, the Perfect Equilibrium is getting a slight nerf of an additional 3%. So yeah, as you can see, the Bow of the Last Guardian is getting some pretty big nerfs here. Onto the Sarin Godo. The Sarin Godo is getting some nice quality of life changes. I'm sure a lot of people have used the Sarin Godo and all of the hits except for one landed off your target, and then you're just sitting there like, okay, well, that's nice. So they're making it so it always is going to target the center of the NPC, and then it's always going to be within a 5x5 around the center, which should make it way more consistent to use the Sarin Godo, and hopefully like solve a lot of the problems where like 4 of the hits would just land off of the target, which is really annoying. Water. So they are also going to be giving a huge nerf to the, or not nerf, but they're going to be changing the Bow of the Last Guardian here. Basically just the way it works in your buff bar. You can read these, pause it if you want to read these. They're basically just changing how things work on the buff bar a little bit. It no longer turns red when it's primed is the main thing. PvP, no one cares. Melee hit timings, Tuska's Wrath is going to be 1 cycle faster, Quake is going to be 1 cycle slower, and I assume cycle means tick. I don't know why you use cycle, like what is that? Overpower is also going to be 1 tick slower. Tuska's Wrath is probably a good change. I don't really think these are, like I don't know why you'd even change these, seems kind of stupid. Mind Whip is going to be an AoE spec now again. And now we get to the Langs. So after some testing, the Langs, they were pretty decent in the beta, the last beta, like the last video I made. The Langs were pretty decent, but now they have ruined them. So that's pretty cool. As you can see, they have, you can still make the ice stacks and, you know, but you can see here, they no longer generate adrenaline while gaining a stack. So this was really the only reason they were good, and now that they don't do this, I mean, the Scourge was already better when you were not zerking, so now that you're not generating adrenaline, the main hand Lang is completely worthless, and the offhand, I guess, is just good because it's your only good offhand. So yeah, this is a huge nerf to the Langs that make, essentially they make the main hand Lang like a piece of garbage, and the offhand is really the only good one. They also didn't change any of the problems that the Langs had, and if you use the Langs in the last beta, you'll know that the biggest issue with the Langs was the stacks went onto your target, but the special attack was an AoE, and it based its damage off of the stacks on target, but you weren't really going to be able to ever get very many stacks on an AoE target to do anything cool with the special attack, so it was just kind of like a big hit occasionally. When you got max stacks, you could just like dump them all on a single target, and the AoE part was like just a weird afterthought. And everyone, myself included, was saying, you know, put these on your character instead of on your target, so you can actually like do some cool things with the special attack, and they didn't do that. So it's, they gave, you could see a 10% damage buff to the main hit, and then a 10% to the AoE. And again, it's just like a troll. Like, it's just so bad. I don't know why they would do this. Maybe the adrenaline thing was a problem, but with the crit buff changes and, you know, some of the other stuff that's happened here, I feel like they probably should have kept this and tested it out. I mean, it just seems like a massive nerf, and it effectively, it makes the Langs useless, like they're trash. So I don't know why they would do that. It took them from being like pretty decent during your Zerk to, you should just use a Scourge. Like, there's no reason not to use a Scourge now. So yeah, that's kind of interesting, I guess. They're changing some text in the action bar. Who cares? Combat dummies, they made it so the max hit mode guarantees a critical hit, which is, I guess, a nice thing. Dominion mines are only going to be able to hit at 10k, which is probably fair. Some minor bug fixes here. You can pause and read these if you want. You can see the easy case bleed average damage is increased by 2.5%, which is like, why even change that? Like, I don't know. And then you can see here, Vestments of Havoc, Adrenaline is no longer working off style, which is probably a good thing. So, yeah, what do you guys think about these changes? I mean, there are some good changes in here, but I think mostly it's like, just like this FSOA change especially is so bad that I don't even know why they would do this. Like, is this a troll? Like, are they trolling? Like, why would they make it like this? the FSOA was already, like, Magic was already the weakest style in the beta, and this is what they added to it? Like, why? It just, I don't know, very strange. Same thing with the Lang spec. I mean, Langs were finally useful, I guess, in the beta, and I mean, maybe they were slightly strong, but I mean, at this point, who really cares? But now, I mean, they're useless. Like, the main hand Lang is garbage. Like, why would you ever use the main hand over the Scorch? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about these changes. I feel like some of them are really good, but a lot of them are just, like, questionable at best. So, yeah, what do you guys think about these changes? Leave your comments and your thoughts about them in the comment section below. And one little thing I want to address here at the end of the video is I don't really have time to test this stuff out in the beta right now. And even still, I don't really like testing things in the beta like that because they're changing so much that I don't really want to go through and make a whole in-depth video about, you know, like maybe new rotations or anything like that. Because, you know, it's always just going to change until this stuff gets into the live game. I really don't care that much about, you know, making really in-depth videos or anything on it. I just like going over the patch notes and kind of giving my thoughts because I think it's honestly more in-depth than just like playing around on a combat dummy, to be honest. But yeah, what do you guys think about these changes? I really want to know what other people think about the FSOA and the Lang changes specifically, and maybe the crit buff as well as the critical strike damage changes. But yeah, if you made it this far in the video, definitely drop a like on it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.